Mozart and Bruckner are both Austrian, like myself, and I think the connection is really that both of them, like many other Austrian composers, enjoyed dance music. You hear in the Mozart violin concerto, in the A major violin concerto, like the last movement, there's a lot of different kind of dance music. And you hear also in a very different way, but in the Bruckner Symphony, you hear also a lot in the second movement in this scherzo. You hear this, in this case, almost frightening dance music. But other than that, of course, Mozart belongs to a different time. In Bruckner, 100 years or so later, was already moving on into a different direction. I think Prague has the same kind of tradition as Vienna has, going back to Mozart. Mozart was always very happy when he was here in Prague. Le Nozze di Figaro was such a big success, a much bigger success here than in Vienna, actually. And also Don Giovanni being world premiered here was a huge success. So he enjoyed coming here. And I'm a very strong believer that certain traditions get passed on from generation to generation. And I think just judging from the rehearsal we had, the orchestra has a very clear understanding of how to play Mozart. And I have to say that what I love about the soloists playing is he gets completely the sense of humor in Mozart's music. And it's not overdone. Humor is not sort of silly jokes. That humor has to be smart. And he makes me smile a lot in when he plays, because there are these tiny little jokes once in a while, musical jokes, which are just wonderful. So I'm having a wonderful time doing Mozart with them. First of all, I come from where Bruckner comes from. I was born only a few kilometers from where Bruckner was born. I grew up with his music. But the Ninth Symphony is something very special. There are some similarities with Mahler's music, meaning that it's a very personal expression. He was close to death when he wrote that. And he dedicated the symphony actually to God. And especially the third movement, the Adagio, is a big prayer. Somebody knowing that life will be over soon, and he cries out. Bruckner was a very strong believer, very much rooted in the Catholic faith. And you can tell throughout the symphony that it's actually sort of Catholic theology put into music. There are so many musical motives and hints where you can tell that he draws his inspiration out of his faith. For instance, when after the opening in the first movement, when the first violins start to play a theme, there's this little sigh and followed by a motive which is the cross. Already Bach used that motive, and so on and so on. So you have so many hints of what he really wanted to say with this. And what I find very moving, with all the struggle, facing death, thinking about his own sins and confessing that not everything in his life was really good. And yet, at the very end of the Adagio, he finds an answer to all this, which again is a strong theological statement that love is actually the answer or has to be the answer to all the struggle before, all the problems, all the conflicts, and so on. So it's a very personal message Bruckner conveys here. And for me, it's, how can I put that? It's really the essence of what he tried to say throughout his life. And he arrived finally on that piece of music where he quotes his own Te Deum in certain moments and so on. So it's a summary, really, of a great artistic achievement, a great artistic life of that genius, Anton Bruckner.